How shrewd can a 34-year-old leftover woman be? Take our friend's case for example. If you want to marry her, first you need to meet a certain number. How much? 50,000? No, 500,000. A 500,000 yuan bride price is just the minimum entry fee to take her home. Having a house, a car, and an annual income of over $1 million is the basic requirement. After all, her greatest asset is her breathtaking beauty. But according to statistics, in this city of 30 million people, fewer than 2,000 men can even save up 500,000 yuan. And that's just the starting point for marriage. Yet this clear reality hasn't affected her standards. If only 2,000 men qualify, then so be it. She'll just choose one of those 2,000, making her man a rare elite. In her eyes, she deserves the very top CEO type. The 500,000 yuan bride price is already her reluctant compromise. If it weren't for the fact that she's 34, divorced, and has 2 kids, she would never have lowered her standards. Now she's forced to accept men who are at least 1.8 meters tall and earn over 10,000 yuan per month. Her lowest standard is still, at least 8,000 monthly income plus house and car. Lowering her requirements this much feels tragic to her, because in her view, an unmarried man marrying a divorced woman is actually his greatest blessing. In fact, she believes that a divorced woman is at an advantage, because she's more experienced, more mature, and has a womanly charm. For this very reason, she insists her husband must hand over his entire salary to her after marriage. Otherwise, how could he give her the security she needs? To her, a man handing over all his money is the only way to provide safety. And by safety, she really means a basic guarantee for her life. After all, not even counting her tens of thousands of monthly luxury expenses, just raising her 2 children already costs a huge amount. Naturally, she places all her hopes on her potential husband. Besides the children's expenses, I also need money to support my parents. So before marrying her, a man must carefully consider his financial situation and whether he can match her standards. Not every rich, tall, and handsome man even qualifies, because both looks and wealth are required. At the very least, a house and a car are the baseline, right? After hearing such outrageous demands, instead of storming off in anger, the man politely asked, if she holds men to such high standards, what value does she offer in return? After all, a lasting marriage can't just be one-sided. Can the woman provide emotional support? Or something else? Of course, that's mutual, she replied. It's not just about the woman giving emotional value. It goes both ways, doesn't it? But she never expected anyone to question her. In truth, all she wanted was a princess-like life. With her 3,000 yuan monthly salary, she can barely afford her own expenses, and often she can't even bring herself to buy fried chicken and burgers. So the man quickly offered to order fried chicken and burgers for her. Seeing this, she was thrilled. You have a coupon, right? Yes, until November 5th, he said. Seeing how cheap the set meal was, she eagerly asked which coupon he used. The man explained, right now you can get a full fried chicken and burger meal for just 9.9 yuan. Recently all my dates have been using Xinyu coupons. It saves a lot of money. Honestly, Xinyu is amazing. Whether for food, drinks, or fun, I recommend it. But even so, she was deeply disappointed. I really am disappointed. He couldn't give me a clear answer. Instead, he wanted me to provide emotional value to justify his bride price. I think that's ridiculous. Seeing her so wronged, her best friend immediately jumped in to defend her. When it comes to marriage, what girl doesn't expect a man to have a house and car? That's just the basic requirement. Sure, in today's society, having a house and car has indeed become a common condition for marriage. But it should never be the only deciding factor. Yet clearly the woman failed to realize this. With her best friend adding fuel to the fire, her demands only grew stronger. What really disgusted me, she said, was when instead of discussing the house title, he dared to ask me what value I could provide. He treats marriage like a transaction. But in reality, she herself had already reduced marriage to a business deal, completely ignoring its foundation of love and understanding. The moment they met, she piled on absurd demands. But marriage should first and foremost be built on deep emotional connection and mutual respect, not turned into a cold transaction that inevitably spirals into a vicious cycle. Why are older leftover women always so picky with their demands? Have you ever been asked for your WeChat on the street? Many women explain that the reason they are still single is because they have too many pursuers. Some even claim they are pursued by top-tier handsome guys and domineering CEOs, so they need to carefully weigh the pros and cons to find their true Prince Charming. But in reality, for a so-called goddess, admired by thousands, having too many admirers actually becomes a burden. She describes situations like men approaching her outside her office at the subway station or on a certain street, asking if they could get to know her, exchange WeChat and maybe become friends. According to her, even though she's already 32, perhaps because of her stunningly beautiful looks, her pursuers range from as young as 18 to as old as 40. But it's precisely during this endless process of being picky that the gap between her self-perception and reality keeps widening. She deeply enjoys the thrill of being admired. So while she demands her partner to have financial strength, good family background, and outstanding looks, she also considers whether he can actively provide her with emotional value as an essential condition. If I took the initiative to chat with you or ask you out, would you respond? Of course I would. Under the influence of online social media, as she has aged, her standards have only gone up. Now she can only accept a man in Hangzhou who owns a house and a car and earns over £1,000,000 annually. On top of that, influenced by extreme feminism, she insists that after marriage her husband must never interfere with her social life, since she firmly believes that pure friendships can exist between men and women. I think there should be normal, purely platonic friendships. They should exist, right? Between men and women there should be pure friendship, I think. She has always had many male friends, so in her view, marriage should not mean giving up those friendships. But in reality, this is nothing more than a carefully woven cover to hide her ambiguous, gray zone relationships. And it is precisely this that has led her to become an older leftover woman. Seeing through the situation, her blind date bluntly pointed out her real intentions, comparing her to treating men like an ATM machine. As the truth was exposed, she quickly shifted the topic to women's independence. She claimed she was a clear-headed, independent woman, and therefore there was no issue of gold digging. She insisted all she wanted was to use money and freedom as a way to test a man's sincerity. In a relationship, would you naturally ask your partner for money? I'd prefer if he voluntarily gave it to me rather than me asking directly. She dressed up her outrageous demands with the lofty disguise of independence. One moment she loudly declares female independence, yet the next she confidently demands financial support, claiming that whether a man gives her money proves whether he truly cares. Even more absurd, she pretends to be pure and innocent to extract more value. Since I don't have much experience with men, I worry about breaking my comfort zone. Hearing this, her blind date wasn't fooled. Instead, he questioned her relationship history. After all, in her dating profile she admitted to having more than a dozen past relationships, and moments earlier she had even boasted about her countless admirers. Finally, the woman could no longer hold back her frustration. She directly asked if the man had the ability to buy a house outright, because only if her name was added to the property deed would she consider continuing the relationship. He has to put my name on it. If he's paying the majority, then it depends on whether he's willing to add my name. If not, then I might refuse to share the mortgage. Basically, if my name isn't there, then the house is his full responsibility. Even at this point, she still refused to admit her true intentions. But her unrealistic pickiness only pushes her deeper into the abyss of failed relationships. Such toxic attitudes toward choosing a partner only tarnish the true meaning of women's rights. Today, only by recognizing what counts as reasonable expectations can one escape the dilemma of being an older leftover woman.